just need to know what triggers it. So in this meditation, we'll be analyzing our anger and finding antidotes to help us to deal with that anger. So here's some of the things that help you to calm down when you're angry. So taking a walk, doing push-ups, calling a friend, running, counting to 10. These are all good things to do. If during this practice you have any questions and you want some answers, then just pop them in the chat. And then at the end, if I have time, I'll get round to answering them for you. So, as I just said, anger is just the tip of the iceberg. What is underneath that anger can be any type of emotion. It can be grief and sorrow, and it could be frustration. It could be that we're disappointed with ourselves. There are a whole list of emotions that can drive that anger. And if we just think about anger, we're never going to be able to de stress that anger. We need to find out the triggers. We need to see what is laying underneath that anger, what emotion is laying underneath the anger. And then we need to look at some antidotes. So this meditation is split into three different parts. We're going to try to look at our anger and understand that anger. You know, it's hugely important that we understand how it's making us feel, how it's affecting us, how we think it's affecting other people. Because if we know that, then it means that we can start to work on that anger. So there'll be a part where we're looking at trying to understand the anger, then the triggers and the underlying emotions, and then see if we can think of some antidotes. Now, those antidotes are going to be personal to you. I'll give some suggestions, but you know, it's you that gets angry, so it's you that has to decide what is a good antidote for you. So now, let's just get ourselves nice and comfortable. So, as always, I just want you to sit, put your back straight and drop those shoulders, put your feet flat on the ground and shoulder length apart so you're nice and stable. Your hands, just put them anywhere in your lap that they're going to be nice and comfortable for you. So, get yourself into a nice, comfortable position, a position where you don't need to move for the next 15 minutes or so. And once you're nice and comfortable, then you can slowly start to close your eyes. But remember, if that's going to cause you some problems, then just half close them, look down, and find a spot on the floor and just focus on that. So if you're nice and comfortable now, your eyes are closed or looking down on the floor, then let's begin by focusing on our breath. And what we're going to do here is just become aware that we're breathing in and we're breathing out. And by putting our full awareness on the breath, it's going to gently bring us into the present moment. So I don't want you to change your breath here. If your breath is a little shallow or a little fast, don't worry about that. Because the more you keep your focus on the breath, the more it will slow down. It will find its own natural rhythm. So keep focusing on the breath, noticing the breath is flowing in and flowing out of the nose. And of course, your mind is going to wander. It's natural. When it does wander off, just gently bring it back and start focusing on your breath again. So let's do this for 1 minute. And remember, relax. So now I want you to bring to mind the last time that you were angry. And to help you with that, I want you to think about, where were you? Who was there with you? What time of day was it? All these are going to help you to really engage with that anger. And so now you've brought that anger into the forefront of your mind. I'm going to ask you some questions so you can really get to understand your anger. So, for these questions to work, we have to be honest with ourselves. So, we don't need to tell anybody our answers, but we do need to be honest with ourselves. So, the first question is, why is your anger a problem? Why do you think your anger is a problem? And who does your anger affect? And what do you initially say or do when you become angry? And what is your physical reaction to anger? So, do you clench your fist? Do you grip your teeth? Does your face go red? Does your stomach start churning? What are the physical reactions to your anger? And how do you feel when you become angry? How does it make you feel? And how do you think others feel when you become angry at them? So now we've looked and tried to understand our anger. Now I want us to look at triggers and antidotes. So, first of all, I want you to think about a type of person that usually makes you angry. So, not an individual. We don't want to make this personal. Just a type of person. So, maybe it could be a lazy person, a person who lies, a person who you can't trust, whatever it is. I want you to think of a type of person that triggers your anger. And now I want you to look beneath that anger. So, what emotion is driving that anger? Is it pride, jealousy, frustration? What do you think the emotion is that is driving your anger towards this type of person? Give that a thought. And remember, there may be more than one emotion here. So now we know the true emotions behind the anger. Now I want you to sit and think about what antidote you can put in place. So next time you find yourself in front of this type of person, you know what emotions are going to come up in you and cause you to be angry. So, what antidote can you put in place? So maybe you can count to 10, or maybe you just take some deep breaths. Maybe you should walk away. What antidote would you put in place next time you find yourself in front of this type of person? And now I want you to think of situations that usually make you angry. So it may be somebody pushing in front of you when you're in a line, maybe a traffic jam, it may be hot days or cold weather. Just think of a situation that usually makes you angry. And now you know that trigger, that situation that makes you angry. So now I want you to look underneath that anger again. What emotion is driving you to become angry with that situation? Just think about that for a moment. And again, remember, there could be two or three different emotions at play here. So now you know the situation that triggers the anger, and you know what emotions underlay that anger. So again, I want you now to think of an antidote. Next time you find yourself in that situation with those emotions, what antidote will work for you? So, this type of meditation needs to be done on a regular basis, and it needs to be done when you're not angry. There's no point in trying to think logically when we're in the grips of anger because it's impossible for us to do that. But after your anger has died down, when you've started to calm down, then look at that anger and try to understand what it feels like for you and other people. And then look at the triggers, the underlying emotions, and then set an antidote. The more we do this meditation, the more that we take the stress out of becoming angry. So now I want you to reflect back over this practice a moment. When you looked at trying to understand your anger, did you learn something new? What about the triggers? Were you aware of your triggers? And what about those emotions that are underneath the anger? Have you ever looked to see what emotions are driving the anger? And did you manage to think of some antidotes? Just reflect on these points a moment. So now just very slowly start to open your eyes and just sit there quietly a moment, just gently bringing yourself back into your room. So we have a question. So the question is, if someone cuts me off in LA traffic, I think you should come to India. Then you'll know what cutting up in traffic is all about. I will scream out loud or in my head to expel some emotion. Is there a better antidote? For sure, there's a better antidote. If you keep letting that anger out like that, it becomes a habit. When you first do it, you're doing it from your conscious mind. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to shout at this person. Then the more that you keep shouting when somebody cuts you up, the more it becomes a habit. That means it now comes from your subconscious mind. You're not even thinking about it. So, yeah, I would have a safe word to say or a little mantra to say, something that, is going to calm you down. So, it's okay. He was probably in a hurry. Something like that. Or breathe, patience. Have something that's in your mind that you can say, and that is going to help you. And that's far better than just shouting at the person. They can't even hear you anyway. So thank you so much for sharing this time with me today. It takes a lot of courage to face our challenging emotions, especially anger. And I hope you'll return to this practice on a regular basis. So please continue to explore meditation with us here at roundglass.com or on our Roundglass Living app. So I'll be back next week with another live session. But until then, thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.